At 6:30, a few minutes past, we'll call our committee of the whole meeting to order, and thank you again to Chief Pelton, who I know is out with his department getting the fire truck put away, the new aerial platform. So got us a couple minute late start there. So what we'll start out with discussion on the food truck license updates. Had asked the ordinance committee to meet. And they met at 5:30 this afternoon to have discussion around this. We've had a number of businesses that have come to the clerk's office, come to myself with challenges in what they perceive as a difficult to do business in the city. So we had some discussion around that and some steps. So Mr. Walsh, if I could turn over to you first, and then I'll probably ask our chair next to share some updates.
Well, what we did with the ordinance committee, we received some direction on how to move forward with short-term and long-term changes to the code regarding food trucks. So tonight, what's on your agenda is one of the short-term fixes, which would be a fee resolution change relative to a solicitor's license, breaking the solicitor license into non-food trucks and food trucks. It's a good short-term patch if you're interested to go that way. And then we still have the rest of the ordinance to fall back on for the remaining portion of the year. Long-term, and this is where I'm going to hand it over to Steve to fill in the blanks, but Steve, maybe you can talk about what direction you gave staff to make some change. Red lines to the plan or red lines to the code, and then bring back to ordinance committee.
Yeah, so to give a little background for some of those who, I don't know if everyone was there at the time, but I think everyone was. But we approved a new food truck ordinance last year regulating mobile food vendors. And the idea was that we want to have some consistency and kind of want to know exactly what a food vendor will have to do to operate in Walker so that we had clear, concise guidelines. So back when it was Dan Power, we kind of all got together and we put a lot of time, a lot of ordinance committee meetings into developing what we thought was a really good set of rules to make sure that we didn't have anything slip through the cracks. So it was really thorough. But what we've found in practice is that we are beyond the other communities in our area in terms of the way that we're regulating. We used the solicitor's license as the tool to collect the information from these food vendors, and I think that turned out to be the wrong mechanism for the information that we needed. And it's one of those things where it sounded good on paper, but then when we really looked into it, it didn't turn out to be probably the way that we wanted to roll that out. So I think that the long range goal is that we would like to see probably a change to using a business license to regulate our food trucks instead of a solicitor's license. Solicitor's licenses do regulate our ice cream trucks and things like that, but I think that we found that there are some barriers to operating in the city for food trucks that they're not used to having to overcome, and it's kind of operating as a barrier to entry into this market. And with the availability of other areas for food trucks to operate, I think that really we're just cutting ourselves out of the game more than anything else. So I think that what we've talked about is making some adjustments to the temporary use ordinance to make sure that we're clear on some of the things that we've found we need to clarify, and then changing entirely from the solicitor's license to the business license to regulate. And we'll go through a process of writing that in the ordinance committee before it comes to planning commission and then ultimately to this body for a vote for approval. But at the end of the day, the game is just trying to make sure that we're open and available to those businesses and having those options available for businesses that may want to host food trucks and things like that, and making all the pieces work and fit together.
All right. From that, commissioners, open up for any questions or comments around this.
I would, in the past, the information we had, and we felt, let's get it out there, let's get started, and need be, we'll come back to it, and we're back to it. And it's, they're here, and we want more, and, and to keep what we have here. So I think it's, I think staff's done a really good job of researching this and what others have, and I think it'll turn out to be, hopefully, it'll be a win-win for everybody. So, thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments, questions?
I think it's particularly important under the circumstances. I think more people are comfortable going to a food truck as opposed to a restaurant, and restaurants are actually getting pretty crowded because they don't have as many tables as they typically do. So this just gives actually a healthy option where people can be outdoors and hopefully makes it easier for the vendors to be in Walker.
I'd agree too with you, Melanie, because I feel like with COVID, if you're hosting a food truck and you're a business that maybe can't house everybody because of all the limitations, this gives them an option to be a little more mobile to some degree and to always be consistent and be able to have people come to them with the social distancing. And it just gives them one more opportunity to kind of reset in these times and possibly make a little bit of money and make some profit. And it gives them another venue when things do come back to the new normal.
I'd just like to add too that I really appreciate that you were kind of comparing what we were doing with other communities in the area. I think, although obviously we're separate, it's nice as a region if we can operate a little bit in line so that there are fewer hoops to jump through. People can more easily move from city to city in such a tight metropolitan area. I think that's important for us to be in line with other communities so we can, as you said, stay competitive and offer that business to our local food vendors.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. We will take that up as a resolution on the licensing fee schedule at the 7 o'clock meeting, Resolution 20-573. From that, Scott, I see you in the audience, the Blains Farm and Fleet development. This is, I think, just a formality with some rework that they had done. There was, I don't know if it was remilling, but there was some additional paving that had to be done after the developer thought the road was clear, ready to go, and it wasn't. They've since done the work. We've inspected it. It's to our satisfaction, to our standards. So we're set to go on that. So what we're being asked to do at 7 o'clock is basically adopt that road as a public street because right now it's a private road.
You just stole my whole speech.
Perfect. You said to make it easy for you, so kid. Anything we've missed in there?
No, if there's questions, this certainly isn't the way that we normally accept right away. Dan had asked a few questions about that, so we understand that, but this was something that was important for the city, and it was negotiated into the development agreement. And as part of that development agreement, we were able to get at least 2 inches of new pavement over the roadway. So at some point in 10 or 15 years, we'll probably have to rebuild that, and at which time we'll add curb and gutter and do a lot of that. But it'll get the job done for now, and we've secured the right of way.
I think it's, your explanation the other day, and I thought it was really good because now we've got the road. And so things are going to change, they're going to grow, but we still got the road to work with. And so we're going to make a good out of it. And I think it's going to be a good win for the city to get this resolution passed and move forward. And as everything is booming and growing there, we'll be glad we had it.
And I think with that being into our public, we've had discussions to our public road system. It just gives us more control in being able to dictate what that future looks like. And I like that flexibility that we have as a municipality. It's one extra little swipe that we have to do with the snow plows, but I think we're all right there. So, any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I got a quick question. I noticed on here it says that it will be open to the public as soon as we pass this resolution. When is the road actually going to be open?
Well, it's not restricted right now, so it's kind of a technicality.
Oh, okay.
It'll just become public at perhaps 7 p.m. tonight.
Okay, no, I guess I was referring to the construction there in general, that one lane that's closed. And
I
is
guess
that
I didn't know there
related
was
to
one
this?
lane that was closed. I'm sorry.
Am I in the wrong spot? Where are you?
On Wilson,
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were doing like that water main work
Okay, yep.
on that drive from Blains.
On the others,
Oh, it's on the other side of that?
So this is the,
Okay.
where the
got it.
traffic signal comes in, and there's a road that is
Yeah.
essentially gonna serve Blains and Meyer
Right,
together.
right.
So that's what's becoming a public road tonight.
It's- Yes.
there's water main work being
And there's
done
work being done
on the
there,
other
yeah.
side, on both
Right.
sides of the
Yeah,
drive.
so what we're talking about is the section that ideally will hook around back to
Right.
Lake Michigan Drive. So it's that internal road, not
Yeah,
the.
no, I
Yep.
just wondered if that had any, sorry, I didn't realize that was water main work there, so.
Yeah, the stuff out front, there's a whole lot going on with a big
There
site like
is.
Blains, but they've got improvements to M11 for the decel and XL.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
lanes.
we're extending
They've got
those
the water
lanes.
main, they've got the work between Meyer and Blains, which also
Yeah.
includes AAC, a 13-page development agreement, so there's a lot going on, but I think the good news is it's, the piece that we're accepting today is painted black and looks good.
It does, yeah, I've been through there, so, thanks.
And I think to city staff, to Scott specifically, and Frank and Daryl, as we've gone through this, has been some trials tribulations because we're developing some undeveloped land back in there in the road improvements. And I know Blains has just spoke highly that we are the model city to work with. And I know we don't always necessarily hear that, but they definitely have said that we are without a doubt to do that. And I think from the flip side of that too, Blains has been a good business partner. And when we brought up the issue with the road, thought there might be some challenge, and they, yep, we'll get this done. So I think they've been very workable in a lot of situations. So nothing else. Any questions for Scott on this, or any challenges we see at 7 o'clock? It appears we'll be good.
Okay, if there's anything else while I'm standing here, there's an awful lot going on.
Can you give an update on Walker Avenue?
Sure.
Northridge, and give an update since you have a couple minutes?
Walker Avenue was open to traffic on Friday night, not without some pain, as every project has, but this has been a really, really good project in terms of the contractor and the schedule, and with Meyer and Bissell both being kind of limited shifts, it's been really good with traffic. We got to the very end, everybody was excited. We didn't even have time to get a ribbon cutting because this thing came together so quick and so swiftly. And then the guy that came out and painted the stripes, which is the very last step, messed up, and we had 3 mistakes actually. One of them was easy fix because he just forgot to stripe some stuff, but then we had to grind off some stripes and we had to paint some stripes black. So if you've been out there and you look really close, you'll see that, which is, it's unfortunate, but it doesn't change the fact that it's been a good project. So it's open. We're still waiting for 2 Consumers Energy streetlights to be installed, kind of looking down on the railroad location. And then we're still waiting for power for all the overhead stuff and the crossing itself. Believe it or not, we're still allowed to open that road without that all being powered up because the railroad's on what's called a stop and flag order. So when they come up to that intersection, and I think Dan heard them over the weekend or maybe earlier today, it's the whistle and the horn and the loud, and then somebody gets out, they stop traffic, and then they let the 2 train cars go through real quick, and then back to normal operation. So we don't want that to happen for very long. Our hope is within the next couple of days that all of the crossings and stuff will be in working order and be inspected and be live. But everybody that's involved with the railroad has said this is kind of a normal thing, and they're comfortable with it. So anyway, that's ready to go. Northridge is coming along very well too. We had a water main shutdown for all of Fruit Ridge over the weekend. So that was on Saturday morning, and we kind of went above and beyond the call of duty of what Grand Rapids would normally do there, and we reached out to a whole bunch of the property owners personally, not just letters, not just door hangers, and thank God we were able to find, a few of them, like Irwin Seating, that the letter got lost. It shows up in the mailroom, ends up maybe at a finance person, and then a human resources person doesn't get there as quick as we'd like, and we were able to avoid some issues there by letting them know at least 3 or 4 days in advance so they could change their Saturday shift. So to shut down a mile-long piece of water main in a corridor like that, I think without a huge problem was very, very good. And so that was all done by about 1 o'clock on Saturday. And they're actually building the road itself now in Northridge, meaning that all the underground stuff is done. So they're just bringing in gravel, getting ready to put in curb, and I think within 4 weeks for sure, that should be all wrapped up and done and open. It's also going to be a little bit strange in that when you get to the end of that road It's not gonna look like every other road where there's a cul-de-sac at the end, because this one will abruptly stop because Visser's coming from the other direction, and they'll come and just tie the two right together. So we'll probably have some barricades up, and we'll probably have it closed off until Visser gets there, just because we don't want a semi to go down there and then not have a place to turn around. So it's gonna look a little bit awkward at first, but that shouldn't be for more than maybe a month or 6 weeks until Visser's done. So, and that'll be a great ribbon cutting opportunity, because we've been working on that as long as I can remember. So that'll be nice.
Questions, comments?
Just Walker Avenue, I mean, the visibility there at the intersection and Waldorf, and it's great. I mean, it's, what a change, but it's a good change, so. I haven't heard anything bad about it from anybody, so. And oh yeah, but I drove it and I like it, so.
So one of your neighbors, some of the kids came out there towards the end, and they were scratching their head on their bikes saying, "Wasn't there a bridge here?" And they were asking the inspector about that. And so people just that haven't been in the area have no idea what the change is. It's kind of astonishing.
Oh, I drove over it today, and what an awesome job you guys did. Really, I'm so excited about having that bridge down, because I cannot tell you how many times people have been flying over that bridge and like, oh, almost got T-boned there. So it's a great project, great job everyone involved, and I'm excited to see the improvement. I'm sure that we'll be excited to have the lights on there. I'm imagining that my grandparents and all those in Dan's neighborhood there will be taking note of the train at this time. So thanks for your good work on that.
Thanks.
And I think important to note too, I mean, what was our cost savings to, I mean, we couple $1 million.
Yeah, we got the grant was about 1.7, 1.9 million.
1.7 sounds right. And then I think when we looked at building a bridge to this same dimension, it was about $6 million, and our total project was a little less than 3, I believe. So
To put that in
huge savings,
perspective.
and then no future maintenance.
Because I think the de facto for many would be just replace the bridge. And the creative solutions that you came up with in doing that saved the city $3 million plus. It's pretty awesome.
And save some graffiti on the post that we have. Many thanks to Bissell for partnering, because we wouldn't have gotten the grant without their half of the equation. So,
It really, all the business owners out there were great to work with. You know, anytime something came up, they kind of jumped right up and said, yeah, I'll sign whatever I need to sign, I'll work with you, I'll help out. And that's kind of rare too. So that whole corridor has been great.
I know the messaging from Bissell, Mark Bissell had shared that at no time was he lacking for what was going on. He knew at every single minute what was taking place, what the scheduling was, and all of that. And when you're running a business with a few hundred people, that's obviously pretty important. So, well done.
Thank you.
I want to thank Scott and especially the team at Prime Newhoff who really stepped up on this project, especially on the communications stuff. So it was just really an awesome job by the whole team on this. And, you know, coming in maybe under budget, but under the time constraints.
Yeah.
It's really unheard of in a complicated project like that, especially with the slow start we had with COVID, and we didn't have, you know, what was it, 2-3 weeks before we could even start the project.
Next, we had the one contractor that was hit by COVID within their ranks that, yeah, that
DT.
delayed it, yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't mentioned it, but K&R, the contractor out there, that's 2 in a row for us. They worked at the Walker and 3 Mile intersection to build the dual left also, and got done almost a month early. So that just doesn't happen. And for them to do 2 in a row, I know I'm going to reach out to them and try to say some nice things about all the folks that were working on it, because they didn't drag their feet, they didn't argue about extras, they just got the job done. Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. I think we should be good for 7 unless you want to stay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. 6:55, what is it? 53. Well, we can try, we'll get a look in here. I'll start to the left. Mr. Wash, any comments from managers?
The big item this week is on Wednesday night, from 6 until 8, we'll hold a master plan work session with the City Commission and the Planning Commission. So So we've already provided you folks with a presentation for that meeting. If you can, please take a look at that. It'll give you a little bit of a format, understanding of the format. We're essentially going to go on all of those significant undeveloped lots, those SULs that we put in the code or put in the plan, and we're going to look for your feedback. You'll get a look back, you'll get the current zoning, and you'll get the current plan in its draft form. And we want to talk through those and make sure that you folks, as the decision makers, are comfortable with what goes in that plan. So Chris, Corey, and I will walk you through that on Wednesday night, 6 to 8, and we should be able to go through all of the major sites in that time period. So hope to see you there. That's enough.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kent?
I've already made my comments about Walker Avenue, and other than that, we're good, thanks.
Commissioner Shane?
I just wanted to say that when I go for my runs at noon, every once in a while I get stopped by a resident, and I was stopped last week, and we were complimented on what a great job we're doing with evening up the sidewalks on Leonard near Kinney. So, and I myself running like it when they're even, especially if we see a squirrel. And then also I had one of the residents that live in Walker or Meadow Springs, Meadowwood Springs Condo Association. They were saying that the Army Reserve, their lights in their parking lot is shining in one of their back deck areas. It's very bright. And I said, I bet they don't even really realize it. So I don't know what the ordinance is on what we can do to help. I mean, that development wasn't there before. So I think some of the lights are just, at the Army Reserve, are just kind of pointed a little bit differently. And I'm sure we can work with them to correct that. So
So I see Daryl making notes over there. We can follow up with staff, maybe that might have to be a nighttime peek to see maybe just one of the security lights is facing the wrong
and I
direction.
can give you the address. I think it's Gary's son. Well, that's just it. And I mean, I'm on the other side, so I didn't notice it, but I was stopped and asked about that.
Yep,
Yeah. I mean, they're not upset, but they say it's very
and it could just be
invasive.
pointed the wrong way too.
And it is, because I went back there and it's just, it looks like it's off,
Okay.
so just,
Get out there with the lawn stick.
yeah, maybe I need that platform truck.
Yeah, there you go. Go for another ride.
Those were the only things I had. Other than that, all's good.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Isingah?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Commissioner Groders?
Nothing for me.
All right. Carol, anything?
We had quite a few people show up for the traffic committee meeting last time, and had some spirited discussion about what we should be doing to standardize crossings throughout the city at our bike lanes and maybe some other places. So I think Scott is going to be following up on that, just doing some research and see what we have, where, and what our options are, so we can try to standardize some of that stuff. Additionally, what was additionally? Just slipped my mind. Oh, I remember. Sorry. Additionally, we're looking at doing some education just throughout the city, because there seems to be there is some confusion and disconnect between what the pedestrian right-of-way rules are in the city of Grand Rapids versus Walker. And because there's no clear, oftentimes you don't know when you're crossing from one to the other. And so just what we might be able to do to better educate and make sure people are aware of who's supposed to be doing what when you're crossing the street would be to our advantage.
Okay, thank you.
So first, the Laker line started service today. The mayor and I were there, and that was really exciting. We were sweating it out over on the pavilion there, but it was well worth it. It was a great event. It was nice to get on those articulated buses and see them start to move around through Standale and obviously Allendale and Grand Rapids. So that's big. It's exciting, and hopefully it'll generate more development and more excitement in the Standale area. from the committee side, on the planning commission, we had a meeting for a potential development, and we chose to table that project. It was O'Reilly's Auto Parts. We are still working through a number of site details. There is some concern about the amount of parking that they were proposing versus what is allowable in the DDA. So I potentially could be something to hear from them about, just in that we're having some conflict of opinions on how the parking calculations are being run. So that's something that's going on. I was at the traffic committee with Commissioner Glanville, and Commissioner Kent was there as well, talking about some of our favorite spots in the first ward. As always, we continue to have those ongoing discussions about Panel and Alpine, and Panel and Bristol, and the Bristol Bridge, and it's funny, the problems in the first ward always seem to stay the same. No matter how much time passes, it's always the same few pinch points. But we'll continue to have those discussions, and probably long past my time serving here. But it was good and productive, and it's always fun for me. And my last thing on my list was to again plug the master plan stuff. It's going to be a really interesting discussion. I think that we've really started to hone in on some of the concepts and what we want to do there, and having those discussions to really shape that and put it into the master plan that'll guide us for the next 20 years.
Awesome, thank you.
Nothing here.
Okay. Do you want it now, or do you want it after 7? Okay, all right, perfect. So I'll actually call the 7 o'clock regular city commission meeting to order. I'd like to ask Commissioner Gilbert to deliver the invocation, start us in Pledge of Allegiance when we're done.
Absolutely. All right, shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for the warm weather and the opportunity to be here before you today, working on behalf of the people of our great city. And Father, we ask you to watch over all those who serve our communities and our country, and our police, fire, and military. And please continue to watch over us as we work to make it the best decisions we can for those who we are here to represent. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you'd please stand and join us for Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. If I could ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Carey.
Present.
Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Kent.
Present.
Commissioner Deschamps.
Present.
Commissioner Glanville.
Present.
Commissioner Groders.
Present?
Commissioner Heisinger.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, we are good. Next on the list is approval of the minutes from the August 10th meeting. Unless there's any questions on that, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support.
I'll make that motion.
We have motion Commissioner Deschamps. Do I have support?
Support?
Support Commissioner Groders. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are passed. Is there any public comment on items? You had your chance then. We're calling it good. All right. Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. The only item on there is the expenditures in the amount of $3.651 million and 14 cents. Unless there's any questions, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
Commissioner Kent,
Second?
Commissioner Heisinger, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We can pay the bills. Next on the list are two resolutions. The first, we discussed both of these in our committee of the whole meeting at 6:30, is Resolution 20-572, certification of Blains Farm and Fleet, the development, Standale Crossing, 936 feet of roadway, that by approving this resolution, it becomes a public road from a private road. Any other questions on this? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion.
Motion Commissioner Glanville, support.
I'll support.
Support for Commissioner Groders. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution 20-572 is passed. Resolution 20-573, adopting a revised licensing fee schedule and repealing the former licensing fee schedule. We discussed this at the 6:30 meeting as well at the 5:30 ordinance meeting this afternoon. Is there any other dialogue needed on the topic? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Make motion?
I'll support.
Motion of Commissioner Gilbert, support Commissioner DeShane. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Resolution 20-573, adopting a revised licensing fee schedule and repealing the former licensing fee schedule is passed. Next on the list is any other public comment? Going once, going twice. Meeting schedule, our next one, just so we're clear, and then this Wednesday, just the reminder, ad nauseum, our joint City Commission, Planning Commission meeting this week. The next couple of meetings then for September are September 14th and the 21st. Those are the only two scheduled meetings as of right now that we will have for September. September 7th is obviously Labor Day. So,
Mayor Carey,
yes,
I did put it on there that normally we don't do the third during the summer, so that is, we're going back to adding the third one, that's the 21st, the third Monday.
yes,
So
yep.
that's
So
commission work
14th,
session.
14th
Yep.
and
But
21st.
right now, we don't have anything planned for the agenda,
Correct.
so, okay.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So the second, third, and fourth, we're
Yep.
back to our,
Yep, unless you have nothing for that third Monday.
we can discuss, I think, at that point, any department
Yep.
presentations potentially. Okay.
Can I get a clarification on Wednesday's meeting also?
In what regard?
Just, that's open to the public, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
And are we doing Zoom or anything, or it's just going to be here in the chambers?
I
or-
think Zoom probably is going to be problematic. It'd be in the chambers, so.
Okay, just wanted to
Yep.
clarify if that was an option. All right, thanks.
Okay. City manager comments down in the end, or did you have a?
Daryl can go and I'll check.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to throw something out because I forgot to mention it. I wanted to mention it. We got our state revenue estimates, and they were 1.25 billion, I think, above what we had expected in May, which is really good for us. I think overall state revenues were down from the January estimates, which would have been before any of the other implications. It was under $1 billion that were down from the initial estimate, which is huge for us because that means that any cuts will likely be significantly smaller if they are proposed to things like revenue sharing or Public Act 51 dollars, although I think they have some creative ideas to make sure that we're getting all the road money. So just as a heads up from the state level, today those numbers did come out and we're looking to be in a pretty good position relative to some of the planning that we've done and where that could have gone, so.
Good stuff, thanks.
Staying on that topic, I was going to talk about that, the CARES Act funding. We have not heard anything yet from either the state or the county, but we don't expect to until probably the beginning of September. But things are looking positive from all those directions. And then on our current budget, obviously we haven't had our audit yet, but the preliminary numbers look very good for the past fiscal year that closed on July 1st. So I think we're in really good shape that year. I mean, current year, it's hard to tell right now. It's really too early. We're only a month and a half into it. So far, I think it's looking positive, but we'll see what the impact of some of the closures are. And, as when Dan was here for the budget, we'll continue to monitor that and update you probably quarterly, so we have a pretty good picture to see what kind of an impact that is there. So, that was that on that. And then I got good news and bad news on a communications director position. We've hired Nicole DiDonato from Fox 17 to be our new communications manager. Bad news is she's not going to start full-time until September 14th because she has some commitments contractually with the station. But between now and then, she will be helping us out on a kind of a part-time interim basis as she can fit that in. So we're meeting this week to get her on board and get things situated, get things rolling. First thing, we'll be getting social media up to speed and current on that and introducing her to everybody. But I think she's going to be a great fit for the city. She's got some great experience, great ideas, and looking forward to having her on board. So that'll be took a long time to get to this point, but I think she's going to be a great fit.
And then she'll be full-time?
Yes, and she'll be full-time after September 14th.
And Kendra even agreed to help in the transition as well, fill in some gaps in there from a knowledge perspective.
Shared her with, some of the things, how Kendra did things, and obviously passwords and all that stuff Jason will help her with. But, so it'll be good, and since she will be full-time compared to Kendra, who was here on more of a part-time basis, she'll be able to help us out a little bit more in different areas and help with some of the DDA, marketing and promotions at WIFIC. We've got a whole list of things for her to sure she'll have her own press release when she comes in, and probably well-written and probably scripted like she's used to doing on the morning news, but she'll be a good fit, and she's excited to be working in the city. That's all I have.
Awesome, thank you. My last couple of things real quick, Laker Line, well, Frank and Scott's name were on the recognition board today, acknowledging, I think on behalf of the Rapid, just very grateful, because I think a lot of the meetings that we had at Station 2 back in the day, meetings we've had in here, discussing that Lake Line, all the open house stuff, and I know Daryl had a hand in it early on, and you two had taken that ball and run with it and at that. So it's neat to see that thing come together and come in under budget as well. It was huge. Last thing, I wish Scott had not left. He helped me with a business owner on Kinney last week that had some questions about the upcoming road project, some right-of-way questions and so forth. Scott just took it. He can't do it all the time for every single request, I think from time constraints, but was able to go out and spend about a half hour walking the property with the business owner and help provide clarification. So again, we just had a project come in that was creatively millions under what we would done if we'd done it the normal, replace the bridge. And it also came in under budget and really short of the time expectation it was going to take. So a lot of good things with him. So if you get a chance, a quick note to him would be good. So anything else for the good and order of the group? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion